Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to, whoa, Beer Blather 232. What honeymoon? With moi, Saul Montes Bradley, the largest human repository of useless information from Virginia, and crawling out of a nasty flu. And with me, Thomas Victor, the only living expert in World War I flamethrowers, suffering Mexifornia every day on his own skin. Well, last week we were talking about bad decisions. Bad decisions are so last week. We have moved to worse decisions. Maybe it was picking the Blue Falcon for a running mate, or posting AI photos of Norteño music-free concerts, or equivocating on so-called debates. Who knows? But if you think America is falling in love with the California harridan with the Valley girl from Poona schtick, think again. The Lotus from hell is sinking faster than Tim Walz's courage in the face of a deployment order. Kamala said no to the Jew to keep her Hamas-loving followers engaged, and picked the spiritual father of St. George of the Fentanyl and heir to brave Sir Robin, you know, the one who bravely turned his head and ran, for her running mate. It looks they'll be waltzing all the way to oblivion. It's goodbye, Shapiro, and hello, Blue Falcon. He fits right in with Austin and Blinken. In November, vote the cowards out. Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
This to me from myself. all of this shit. Maybe it wasn't the flu, it was the blues.
Well, I mean, I can't think of a single spot on the planet that isn't sort of roiling and bubbling right now. And in our country, I mean, we have the largest propaganda effort going on right now in order to make people forget who Kamala is, to make people think that she's she's new on the scene and that she's not responsible for all the issues that she's promising to fix. She's accusing Trump of being herself, basically, and she's trying to take Trump's place. And there was this, when did she pick Walz? Like a week ago?
Yeah. It seems like 100 years already.
No, I mean, there was no honeymoon. I saw a bunch of late middle-aged women explaining why they were going to vote for Kamala. She's black and she's a woman, and the one in charge, the one
no to the first, and I want proof for the second, because these days you never know.
You never know, but she looked like she was signing, and she was going like this. And there are also some young influencers who are, I saw a video behind the scenes of people eating some kind of burger, and they were all ready, and then the person filming said, all right, we're going to begin in a couple seconds, and they all started going, and then they filmed them doing that. They were rolling their eyes, they're going, and you know that when they film food commercials, the people pretending to eat, they have a bucket at their feet, and when they yell cut, they all go bleh, and then they do another take, and they do another take.
Imagine take 100 of a burger. Even I cannot do that.
You'd never eat a burger again. And the these people on social media, they remind me of those burger actors who are acting as if they're having an orgasm by eating this crappy burger. And I mean, it makes sense. Kamala is a crappy burger, basically. But there's no honeymoon. I mean, it's like Trump's comeback. Trump never went away. They stopped reporting about him, but it wasn't a question of Trump making a spectacular comeback. He never went away. I mean, this is, and the press bitches that nobody respects them and nobody trusts them and nobody believes them. And it's like, well, look what you're doing. You're telling us that this Walz guy, who basically retired at a lower pay grade to avoid going to Iraq, and then ran around pretending that he was a combat veteran from Iraq and that he was a command sergeant major.
Yes.
Both of which are two lies.
All the weapons he carried in war.
Okay, that's a third lie. The U.S. military doesn't carry semi-automatic rifles.
That too.
So it's just, the whole thing is just, it's amazing. And they're screwing up in so many ways. What they're doing now is they're harassing. They saw what Trump did with that influencer. It was the largest live stream in the history of the internet. It was 10 million people. If you get 100,000 people on your live stream, that's like outstanding. That's record breaking. This guy got 10 million people. But you told me that was because Barron
is asked his father to do it with this guy.
Right. And
the broadcast, I mean.
And the man who they did it with is a genuine Trump supporter.
Yep.
So what Kamala's doing is, I've seen several young black influencers saying that the Secret Service is badgering them, telling them that they should do a stream with Kamala for the good of the country. And one of the biggest ones, he was having this absolute meltdown. He was saying, I don't get political. What part of that do you guys not understand? I'm not going to endorse anybody. I don't get, he's smart, because when you get political, you automatically alienate a certain percentage of viewers. And there are some people like the guy who Trump did it with, who he's big enough to not matter, but it's smart for entertainers to keep their lips zipped about politics. And they're being harassed by the Secret Service. I mean, this is getting out. That idiot Charlemagne the God, he was criticizing Kamala for doing this, and he supports her. So it's, this whole thing is a flop. It's ridiculous. It's such a huge propaganda effort that it's crumbling under its own weight.
So somebody in the chat here says that Kamala is paying $10,000 per broadcast. I propose to do a fundraiser for Quod Verum. I'll do 10 fundraisers for Kamala, and then I'll do 100 spoofs.
Well, I mean,
take their money and run.
Of course. See, I read somewhere that there's a limit to the height of, say, human beings. The reason we're not 200 feet tall is because our bones would crumble under our own weight. The material that bones are made out of, even if they were, 6 feet thick, they would still be the same material. And
thank you. Now I have a jolly good reason not to play basketball.
Exactly. So propaganda, Joseph Goebbels famously said, he was talking about the big lie. He didn't actually say that they would use the big lie. He was commenting about propaganda in general, and he said if the lie is big enough.
do as the British do.
Well,
Is how we started that one.
if the lie is big enough, people believe it,
Yeah.
but only up to a certain point. When you have alternate, okay, Nazi Germany, there were no alternate viewpoints. So when they said we're defeating the Russians in the Soviet Union, everybody went, I believe it. But
Yeah,
here,
same thing in Russia today.
yeah, here in the U.S., especially, I'm convinced now that Twitter is a real player in the political field, which is why the Europeans are trying to shut it down, and you know,
they're having a conniption.
yeah, they're calling the most dangerous man in the world.
Yeah. Well, you started tonight saying how it was a shit show around the world,
Yes.
and it is. Just in case people don't know, the former president of Argentina, the last Peronist so far, is having all kinds of trouble because videos have surfaced of his poor wife, Black and Blue. Apparently, the guy who created the Ministry for Women used to beat on his own wife with clock regularity, and he would force journalists and secretaries at the government house to do a Lewinsky on him in the tiny wooden elevator in the big house. So there we have an interesting character. The president of Colombia has announced that he intends to grab all the savings of all Colombians who don't already have their savings in Miami and use that money to develop Colombia. And everybody's so happy to contribute their lifetime savings so that this guy, who's probably beating on his wife and getting a Lewinsky, with the promise that sometime in the next 2,000 years he might return it. Maduro, I understand, has not had a single night's sleep since the elections in Venezuela. That a lot of people are still acting as if there had been elections in Venezuela, and they don't realize there is no such thing as a Venezuelan election. In Spain, it was beautiful. The former president of Catalonia, who is under capture order and has been a fugitive from justice for the past 7 years, managed to get into Barcelona, go to the parliament, give a speech, and leave without the police being able to capture them. And apparently they said that it was very difficult to capture him because he was in a car and the street lights were not synchronized, so they couldn't catch up. I swear to God, that's what they said.
Well,
I'm not gonna,
before we go on, there's a famous video of a Spanish bank robber trying to escape on the motorcycle, and a cop on a perpendicular street, he just went out in front of him, and the motorcyclist, who's doing about 80 miles an hour, hit the cop car and cartwheeled into oblivion. And the Spanish said, well, that's what happens when you run from the cops. So don't tell me that they can't stop people who are running from the cops in Spain.
Well, not this one.
So
not
please
this
continue.
one. Yes. Then of course, the president of France continues to bet his grandmother every night. And sorry, that was his wife. My bad. In England, the pro-Hamas people are beating folks, destroying pubs, which I consider to be capital punishment material. And the police are too busy arresting people in their homes for posts in Facebook.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. And what really peeved me this time, because usually I don't give a shit about any of this, is that the police are literally doing a campaign on Twitter and Facebook, which is watch what you post. You may break the law.
Yeah.
Watch what you post. Big Brother is watching.
Right. And the reason they're doing that is because they don't dare stop pro-Palestinians, pro-Hamas from destroying other people's property. So they look around for the low-hanging fruit and they go, I know, social media. So
yeah, you can destroy property, but you cannot threaten egos.
I've seen what they've arrested people for, and you're going to show us a video of Tim Walz later. So it's another reason to not elect Kamala, is because all of that, is what.
Oh, if you like what Starmer is doing in England, by all means, go and vote for Kamala. She is one and the same with all the assholes I just mentioned.
Yeah. And okay, you mentioned a lot of Western European countries. In Ukraine, the Ukrainians have launched at least 3 separate invasions of Russia. The first one has either 6 or 7 brigades. Each brigade is 2 regiments. So
yes.
Apparently it's about 10,000.
That's the one in Kursk.
Apparently it's about 10,000 fighting troops. They've launched 2 other incursions, and they're starting out exactly the same. I think I told you a long time ago, the Ukrainian claims that they're suffering a manpower shortage was disinformation that they put out. The Ukrainian armed forces are almost 1 million strong. So
and they're using 300,000 so far.
Exactly. So even though I support these invasions of Russia, we have to be very clear that we don't know what the Russians are going to do. Personally, I don't think they're going to use nuclear weapons, but as of right now, the Russians are completely unable to stop this invasion because they have no heavy weapons. They've lost all their heavy weapons. They have no tanks. They're using 80 to 90-year-old artillery pieces. Yeah.
This is what the Russians are doing so far.
Right. They're removing troops that were in Ukraine. They're hurrying them to Kursk. But the problem is that 76,000 refugees, internal refugees, Russian refugees, are clogging the roads, and the troops can't get through. So
that's lovely.
This is a disaster all around.
I have to tell you, I don't usually do this, but I'm gloating.
Well, it couldn't happen to more deserving people. And, the Ukrainians have been, frankly, brilliant about operational security and putting out Sun Tzu-style disinformation. When you're strong, pretend to be weak. And that's what they've been doing. And our idiot, the Western press, reports disinformation as fact. They take everything at face value.
They never check anything.
Never. And they bring so-called experts on who are morons. These are the same people who said that Ukraine would fall in 3 days. These are the same people that kept saying, wait till this, wait till that. Then the Russian will...
Another 3 days, and we'll be in the 3 days that I told you was going to be 3 days 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, wait till they get out of Kyiv and they reach open land. That's where the Russians really excel.
Yeah.
They excel at dying. That's what they
And
excel at.
apparently, let me. Well, no, I have some videos, but I'll show them to you once we leave. I didn't say anything about that, but we are doing this in our channel in Odyssey,
Oh,
Quadverum TV, and that's where the chat is going, and that's the only chat we are monitoring. We're doing this for a little while in YouTube. Um, you're free to have conversations in the chat in YouTube, but we're not monitoring that at all. In there, you will find a link to come to our Odyssey channel, and you can participate in the chat here. And while you're here, you might as well subscribe so you get notifications. I still see people, Thomas, 3 years later. Oh, look, this is Thomas and Sol. No shit, Sherlock. We'll be here all the time. So, what can I say? Just click on the damn thing and subscribe, and you won't miss it again. And in two timelines in Twitter, uh, yours, Thomas, and mine, because in Quadverums, for some reason, they don't let us anymore. Go figure. And that's why people need to click on the Odyssey channel and subscribe to the Odyssey channel. And once they're here, God forbid, maybe even become a member and support us so that we can continue doing this, or contribute to the chat or to the channel by clicking on join to become a member, the $sign to contribute to the chat, or support to contribute to the channel. And that's enough for that. Please do. I don't know why we cannot broadcast in the Quadverum timeline anymore, but we can't. And this is as arbitrary as always.
yeah. I mean, Twitter is 100 million times better than it used to be,
No
but
question.
it's like everything right now. This is a direct result of the Biden administration. I mean, you can't get everybody's in a bad mood. I went and had my I have glaucoma, so I have to go and get regular checkups, and they had to change my appointment, and I said sure. And the receptionist, every time I interact with her, she tells me how much she enjoys interacting with me because I'm like the nicest patient they have. And I hear this all the time from doctors, dentists. Everybody's in a bad mood, and so they take it out on receptionists and all that. And I mean, I'm not an angel. I'm not a saint. I have my bad moods, but I don't take it out on people. And anyone in customer service is in a constant bad mood because they have to deal with like insane, crazy, angry people.
Yep.
You pick up the phone and they immediately scream at you, "Why can't I broadcast on my Quadverum channel? What the hell is going on?" And that's not going to get you very far.
No. That one in particular will probably get you an answer, perhaps because you are too dumb.
Well, I ordered a new chair, and the chair arrived today, and they just left it inside the fence, and luckily I saw it, so it didn't get heisted. And it's a very heavy box, but the guy had a little hand truck. He could have brought it. He could have brought it up to the porch, but why should I? So I don't know. It's. I could call Amazon Prime and complain, but
Well, I have to say on behalf of the poor old chap that he didn't give a shit about the dog, but was definitely aware of the owner.
I didn't hear any of that. Say it again.
That the poor delivery guy
Yes.
was aware that the dog represented no danger, but
Yes.
was bewaring of the owner.
Of the odor. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
the guy with a black beanie.
Oh yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Not the only street on the block without a dog, and that's why all the feral cats in the city come to my yard and have a crap jamboree. It's like, they have shitting contests apparently. Um, it's amazing. I thought they're supposed to bury what they laid down, but apparently
not
not.
these cats. No, because these cats are perfectly aware they're not in danger, and their intent is to offend.
Yeah. No, I mean, they've cured me of my affection for cats. I'll tell you that. But it's like everything else. I mean, what are you going to do?
But don't judge all cats. Those are Democrat cats.
Well, the conversation
Republican cats bury their own shit.
The conversation we had last night, it was all about optimism and pessimism, and I'm still an optimist, and I will always be an optimist because, I mean, I've known a lot of pessimists. My father was the world's greatest pessimist.
Champion.
You started, if you announced any new endeavor, you would say it's gonna kill you.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work, and I feel no need, even if I'm okay. If somebody's putting their life in danger, I'll say, maybe you shouldn't do that. But if they're not going to physically harm themselves, I'm not going to say, listen, hey, let me tell you something. And that's what my father always did. And things never came to pass the way he predicted, but he always had to predict it. And, he dreaded the future. He left us in 2013, but he was around for the election of Obama, and oh boy, he was terrified of
this is the end of the world. I'm living at the right time.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's when Obama got elected, and then when he got reelected, I just kind of went, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I blame Mitt Romney because he went easy on Obama after he gutted him in the first debate. Then he went, "Oh, I feel sorry for the little guy. I better go easy on him." And then
what a coitus interruptus. the guy went flaccid in the middle of the act.
Yeah.
It should have been a no-brainer at the time. It should have been a no-brainer.
Well, this is why I support. One of the million reasons I support Trump is colorblind, so he's not going to go easy on Kamala just because she's not a Caucasian. And Obama was loud and insistent about his color, his race, and Kamala, don't know if she herself is trumpeting it, but all her supporters are. And Trump is like, so what? You're still an idiot. He what did he say today or the other day? He said she has a very low IQ, so I don't think she's going to in the debate.
She does. She's the stupidest person ever to run for any office. Look at this. I'm even gonna risk it in YouTube. What the heck? I have to show it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hope the audio is fine on this one. Look at that. Look, not only what she says, which is a string of banalities, that would kill the average person in about a minute and a half. But look at the gestures. Look at the Valley Girl attitude that I'm always referring to.
Alice, are you going to do schtick?
Well, let's start with this. Prices have run up, and
Yep.
families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources.
The gestures.
Yeah.
That is not only economic, but is on a daily level.
That's a telltale of low IQ.
So it is something that we take very seriously. Very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is how she's going to solve
Right.
the problem of inflation.
Right. And she's going to solve it by explaining that when the price of food goes up, people feel stress. I mean, she's an imbecile, and when she was a senator and she tried to be the hard-eyed prosecutor, and when she was like trying to grill various nominees that Trump put up, and they were just like, no, I don't know, whatever. She'd be like, fine.
You're in California.
I am.
Yeah, I'm sorry to remind you of that sad fact, but is there a single famous case she prosecuted?
No, and she also said she was responsible for implementing the most stringent anti-illegal immigration criminal act in the country. News to me.
In California.
In California, that's what she said.
No, I'm sorry. That's a drug problem talking there.
Well,
that woman was stoned when she said that.
See, they're all just lying their butts off.
Yeah. They're stretching.
They're stretching the truth.
They're stretching. They're on the stretch.
And they think that's going to get them through. And, okay, have you seen the new series of Trump ads called the Zen ads?
No.
He's put out at least 10 ads that are about maybe 15 to 20 seconds long each. And they have no speaking. It just shows, for example, it shows the border wall with a border patrol truck cruising slowly along it, and it says, "No border crossings, vote Trump." And that's it. And then of these ads, there's a few about Kamala. It shows a man, he's sitting at his table, and he's like sort of wiping his face, and he's got his calculator, and he's working out, and it says something like sky high inflation and increased prices for everything. Vote or thank Kamala Harris. You know, but there's no speaking, there's no bombast, there's no music, there's no nothing.
We need 700 of those.
There's at least 10, maybe more, and they're in heavy rotation, and they're very striking because, you know, the usual political ad, it shows the person waving and it's got the music, and or when it shows the opponent, it goes in black and white and it goes, Kamala Harris, blah, blah, blah. And you know, they're just not doing that. And on the Democrat side, they just have all these weirdos going on TV. Have you noticed they've already stopped the Republicans are weird stuff that lasted, what, 2 days?
Like, come on, weird.
Because they
really wanted to go to weird.
They got blowtorch on social media, and these people are all obsessed with social media. So they looked at it, and on Twitter, you know, when you have a clip of some Democrat calling somebody weird, it's just flooded with memes of the most freaky leftists you've ever seen in your life. You know, my pronouns are Krika and Dusu. And
Yeah, something like that. But just take a look at Biden's the department heads.
Exactly.
I mean, this is like a freak show.
It's a freak show, and if these were like super competent freaks, okay. I was listening to a show tonight talking about the Ukrainian invasions of Russia, and they were talking about the summer 2023 offensive and how it was broadcast and then it didn't get very far. That was Lloyd Austin's offensive. That was Lloyd Austin forcing the Ukrainians to do this.
Yes.
And what he did was he broadcast it because he's a big believer in propaganda.
Yes,
and
especially letting the enemy know what you're doing.
Exactly. The Russians, he said exactly where they were going to go. So the Russians built up their defenses there. And then Ukrainians were ordered in with no mine clearing fields and no air force.
Yep.
And it was supposedly the first NATO style offensive by the Ukrainians. They didn't have
lasted 3 weeks.
They didn't have NATO weapons because of Joe Biden. And that was Lloyd Austin's brainchild. Lloyd Austin is a flop. He's a clown. He's incompetent. Like everybody, there isn't a single competent member of the Biden administration.
No, and he's responsible. By the way, the Biden administration. I was going to go. He's responsible for the withdrawal in Iraq and Afghanistan. Quite a record. The reason he's responsible for both is because they couldn't find an asshole worse than him to do it the second time.
Yeah.
You know that we are now up to 16 evacuated embassies.
Oh, sure. I have no doubt. I mean, okay, nobody knows what the hell is going to happen in the Middle East. I saw tonight.
Before we go into the Middle East, we were talking about Kamala being stupid. This one is my favorite. You know what she's doing there?
She's filling a gas car with electric power?
No. He's gassing up an electric vehicle. She's holding on to the electric cable. As if it were a hose.
Filling our tank, you usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
You see that?
None of that. But how would I know that?
This is beyond stupid.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is that Walz?
Typically, you come in here,
And look at that, Mara.
and then what it would do is it would authenticate, and then the light comes green.
Between the two of them,
Great job. Here was the reaction. Fox News.
you don't get a half a fool.
Why the hell are they wearing masks outdoors?
I don't know. I don't know. I got COVID this week. As you can see, I'm on the last legs of it. Maybe that's why. Because they wear masks now when somebody sneezes. I don't know. I got off that train. I don't know, and I don't care. But my point is, she's holding on to the electric cable.
Right.
As if it were a hose.
Yeah.
There's something wrong here. really wrong. This is not hyperbole. I'm not just making fun of the idiot. She is an idiot.
Well, okay, I saw a Norwegian movie, and the crescendo. A 78-year-old man who is in a nursing home. He was a former soldier. He got a call from his son saying, "I'm in trouble." So the guy knocked out the orderly and stole his electric car. And when he got in the car, he was like, he had no idea how to start it. He figured out how to start it. Then it ran out of power, and he went to the gas pump, and of course couldn't do it. And a passerby helped him charge the car, and then he was standing next to the car as it was charging, just swearing about tree huggers and all of this. That guy was 78. Kamala's not 78. And under her administration, we've had
in bullshit years. She is.
Well, we've had all these electric car mandates. So, okay, didn't that idiot Granholm, didn't she have some electric car catastrophe where she's going to drive from somewhere to somewhere and
from Alberta to Wisconsin, and ended up abandoning and arrived in an SUV?
Yeah,
she ran out of battery in the front of the frozen tundra. But Granholm is the same fucking imbecile who, on her first week in the energy department, was teaching us all a lesson that a supply of oil had no relationship to the price.
yeah, and see,
if we increase the supply of oil, we're not going to do anything to the price because there is no relationship between supply and price. And she said it with a serious fucking face. She actually believed this shit.
Well, Granholm has for a long time been recognized as the stupidest senator that we had. And, okay, think about it. I saw something tonight about the Baltimore bridge collapse. Do you know when they plan on having finished the bridge that the barge knocked down?
10 years from now, 20 years from now, something ridiculous.
Yeah, they're aiming.
My wife was upset with me because I threw a shoe at the TV, and I said, "Oh, fuck these idiots."
Well, they're aiming for 2028.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a fucking suspension bridge.
It's a nothing. There was a viaduct in Genoa that collapsed, and they demolished the old one and built the new one. The whole thing, the demolishing of the old one, building of the new one, and reopening the viaduct over the port and city of Genoa in 18 months. 18 months. A far more complex bit of engineering than what we're talking about in the Key Bridge.
Okay. Okay. This is the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yeah, that's the one in Baltimore, and the San Giorgio is the one that I'm talking about in Genoa.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Construction. Alrighty. Okay. Replacing the earlier. Okay, the construction began in 1972, and it was finished. It opened in 1977, but it was finished in 1976. So 4 years. I guess that's going to be. It'll be 6 years, but still, obviously they're not going to. I mean, this was
right, because in the past 40 years there's been no technological advancement.
Well, that's the thing.
no engineering advancement. No.
Well, that's the thing that this was built. I mean, 72. That's
That's
50
40
years.
years ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
These people are pathetic.
No, they are, and okay, Buttigieg, Granholm, Buttigieg. I mean, can you even name any of the other cabinet heads?
Rachel Levy.
Okay.
Talk about weird.
Yeah. Well, we've got three there. You've got Granholm.
You know that the first female admiral in the health department is a dude.
Of course. I mean, the whole thing is it's a clown show. I'm finally starting to hear people point this out, that you can't parody this stuff anymore. It exists as a parody.
It's I feel silly doing a parody of this shit. The guy, the undersecretary in the energy department that was stealing women's clothing at airports. Is that weird?
Well, that entity is a freak. And some kind of exhibitionist, no different than the old, raincoat guy. Look, it's
no. I feel like I managed to get into the Barnum and Bailey freak show without paying the extra 10 cents.
Would you remember a while back the Daily Wire made a movie about a man's basketball team who started playing against women? The reason
the movie flopped because it's real, it's happening.
Well, that's the thing. You can't parody that. You obviously can't parody that. We're seeing everything that was.
Just saw it in the Olympics in real life.
Yeah. I mean, female athletes getting severely hurt. There was a hockey game that nobody talks about. It was an entire team of male to female transsexuals, the whole team against biological women. They had their faces smashed. I mean, they had broken bones, broken arms. I mean, and I don't know. It's really criminal. And thank God it's all coming to an end. But I just. It's so. What gets me about the Biden administration is that it's so inhumane. It's inhumane on every level. Kamala Harris is inhumane.
Yes.
Her decisions cost people their lives, and
ball busting at this level is a violation of the Geneva Conventions.
The thing about all of this is that it's all based on hatred. Like, Kamala is a creature of pure hatred, and the average far leftist woman, they're creatures of hatred, and you don't see the same thing on the other side. Trump isn't a creature of hatred. J.D. Vance isn't a creature of hatred. The entire media talking head conglomerate, they're all creatures of hatred. They hate, and we're back to Orwell again. The daily 2-minute hate, where you just express your hatred for dissent, and it's just amazing.
Let me, speaking of hatred for dissent, we are running into 50 minutes on YouTube, and I've already taken several risks. So let's leave YouTube, folks. We only start there so that if you haven't figured it out yet, because you're one of the slowest creatures in creation, but 50 minutes is enough. If you want to continue watching the show, please come to Odyssey, click on the link in the chat, or in the description. Otherwise, good night, you boob. See you next week, or not.